Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. A shout out to drone enthusiasts everywhere, and as always, a shout out to all of my friends at the Drone Seekers. Hey, the Hubsan Zino. They released a new, an update to the X-Hubsan app a couple of days ago. And so I wanted to take it out again and see if we can take advantage of all the features that they added with the firmware upgrade to 1.2.05 and to the iOS app. Now I run an Apple phone, I can't speak for Android, so this is all with regard to Apple in my experience here, but it's version 3.8.1. So it does bring a lot to the table. First though, I'm going to tell you, I got a little confession. I actually was out here yesterday doing this exact same video, so I know what to expect on this one. But unfortunately, for some reason, I didn't get the screen recording on my iPhone. I know I started it, I don't know what happened, it's not there. So the video was really worthless without that, because the screen recording shows obviously a lot of the new things with regard to the app. So anyway, we'll do it again today, and that's what we're doing right now. So all of that said, what is happening with the app now, what Hubsan says it brings to the table, is it optimizes the operation interface. And what that means is there's some new prompts and so forth within the app, and I didn't know that yesterday, but I do now because I did it. And you get new voice prompts for aircraft status, and we'll go into those as we do this test here, or this demonstration. But then a while back they also published, I think it was at the end of November, on their Hubsan Facebook page, they said things like new features for flight control, including altitude homeward voyage, and you kind of read between the lines, but what they mean by that is when it's within 5 to 20 meters, instead of raising to your preset height, it'll just come straight home. Your preset return to home height, it'll just come straight home and land, which totally makes sense. If you're that close, that's what you want it to do. That's what DJI does, and I can't remember what their distance is, but it also says that it has to be at least 10 meters high. And then the big one is going to be the detecting a bad battery. So for that, I've got my battery number 1 here, the one that originally came with this drone, and I've had some issues with, so we'll see how that operates. Now, unfortunately, all I have here is the original Zino. I don't have a Zino Pro. If you have the Zino Pro, the new app brings you time-lapse photography and panoramas and spherical and those kind of things. And I can tell you, I was hoping that this guy would have it, but I've already checked and it doesn't. And they also say that they improved the video quality on the Zino Pro. The other thing that it added is that now in Active Track, or in Follow Me, it's got a GPS mode that it uses the GPS on your phone, and we'll try that out as well. So in any case, let's quit messing around, let's get this thing in the air, and let's just take a look at this stuff. It's a little bit windy. I think we got gusts up to about 8 miles an hour. It was a perfectly still day yesterday when I did this, but it'll be fine. This thing can handle that just fine. All right, let's go. Okay, I've got the screen recording started, I hope, and then we're entering the app right now. And I had to take my glove off because when it's this cold, the touch screen doesn't work as good as it normally does. And look, we're ready to fly, so I'm gonna switch to video, and of course it'll ask me to do a GPS bind, so we'll do that right now. Okay, so we've got the thing bound with GPS, and 14 satellites, everything looks good. The one difference I wanted to point out is the kind of the compass looking thing on the bottom of the screen here. I've never seen that before. If that was a setting before in the app, it's just not something that I had never selected, but you can go ahead and change it to map just by touching it. So I've got it on the map now. So I want to show you what's in the camera menu, and so let's tap on that. So we have white balance, all that. We're in video mode, so let's go into settings then on the camera menu. So nothing new here. You know, let's go ahead and format the SD card. I did that on my computer, but it won't hurt to do it again here. Well, it's taking its time. I've never had it take that long before. Yeah, speed check passed. Well, that's good. Okay, that's done. Okay. So back into there. So I just wanted to show you that there's nothing new here that we haven't seen before. You can put grid lines on there. I usually do that on my quad. So let's go ahead and turn grid lines on. I always like that. That helps you look at the horizon and so forth. So let's get out of there, and then we'll go into camera, and we'll look at that menu. I just want to show you what's there. So nothing really new here. White balance, color, and then what kind of video, the video format. Now why that's in the camera menu, I don't know. And then the same thing in the settings, so nothing new there. So let's go back into video, and let's start video, and let's go ahead and take off. And I'm going to do that on the app here, and I'm going to stand out of your way so you can see the drone take off. So I'm not touching anything here. So we got a little bit of the Hubsan drop. Yesterday I didn't see any of that. So 1.2.05 is perfectly good firmware. There's nothing wrong with it, and it brings you, yeah. And so look at right now, and I didn't notice it, it's bringing us that battery damage. It's looked at the battery, and it said it's noticed that this old battery is not up to speed. So we're just going to land it here. In fact, this is probably a good chance to try that return to home they were talking about. So let's go forward a little bit. So we're out, you have to be over 5 meters, so we're out 10 meters, and let's raise it up 10 meters. I think that's what they said. I might have that wrong. We'll have to try it. So we're over 10 meters there. So what we should see here is it should come straight home. So it is. It's not rising in altitude. And I know I'm being a little risky with this battery, but I guess I've flown with this battery enough that I'm willing to take the chance, I guess is what I'm saying. Might not be the smartest thing, but I just want to demonstrate to you. So yeah, you can see it land here. And we were recording, so it wasn't a precision landing, but pretty darn close to the landing pad there, I would say. Okay, so I'm gonna take off again, and I'm gonna try that same thing, but with the drone only about 5 meters high. So let's go ahead and take off. So we're about 3 meters. So let's back it off. Let's go over 10 meters away. So yeah, so we're about 15 meters. So let's hit return to home again, and let's see what it does. I'm going to stop recording and see if it'll do a precision landing for us. And it says it's searching, but yeah, no, it's not going to make it. So it was a little further away that time. So what we can say is that that return to home calculation that they did, where it doesn't go up to its return to home height if it's within 20 meters of you, between 5 and 20 meters. It'll just come back at its whatever height it's at and land. So, which is exactly what it did. So I'm going to pull that battery out there, that battery number 1, and you see the warning on the screen that it's saying that it's a bad battery. And I've got a good battery, one of my newer ones, battery number 3. I got it all charged up, so we'll put it in and try some of this other stuff. But what I'm going to tell you is, if you do not update your firmware to 1.2.05 and update your app, you're not going to get that functionality. So, you know, we know we've had a lot of people lose their drones because of bad batteries, and what I'll say is that, you know, Hubsan is taking care of us on that, and they've addressed that with this. So if you're happy with your 1.1.52 firmware and you're not worried about battery or any of this other functionality that they brought, stay with it. Nobody is saying that you have to change. If you like the way your drone flies, absolutely stay with it. But my point is that there is functionality that they're bringing with this, and in my case it's worth my while. You may make a different decision, but I just want to point out what those changes are. So let me switch batteries. I'm going to shut everything down, fire everything back up, and we'll try it again. Alright, so we've got the second battery in, and wow, it fired right up. So let's switch to video, and I'm going to start video, and then it'll tell me though that I have to bind first, and sure enough, so let's do that. Okay, so we're good to go there, and my understanding is with that GPS binding, that's mostly for the intelligent flight mode operations. You don't have to do that if you're just flying and shooting some video, but I think what it does is it makes the GPS on the craft agree with the GPS on your phone. So I'm going to start video now, and we're going to take off and shoot. Let's do it on the controller this time. So yeah, we got a little bit of a drop there. Like I said, it's a little windy out here today, so that's kind of understandable. So the first thing we're going to do is flip it around. Let's do like we normally do and bring it into the camera here. And get a little close-up picture. See how close we can get. I wouldn't have dared get this close with this drone not long ago, but they've really improved the functionality and the smoothness of it. So that's me yawing there. So let's do our usual up and back. So we're going to go backwards and up. I always get a little bit of cross coupling with this drone, and I should have dropped the gimbal down there. Sorry, guys. This controller is the springs are fairly weak on it, so you really have to have a steady hand, and I don't. But one of the things that I've started doing is pinching instead of just using my thumb, and that's helped quite a bit. So, you know, that's something that you can work on, and it helps you out. So, what have they improved on this thing? So, one of the things that you'll notice, I believe, is that you'll see this battery, it'll go down in a much more linear fashion than it did on that bad battery. Let's switch to back to the map here, and yeah, you know what? First thing I want to show you some of the new functions. So let's bring it back in. So one of the things that Hubsan added to this was one of the follow me functions, and it will follow with GPS as well as active track where it's optical, where you draw the square around it. So we can look at that. In fact, let's just look at that whole menu so I can show you any of the changes. So we're in normal mode right now. Waypoint mode, that's the same. I don't see any changes there. Although I'm going to tell you, this particular drone I saw today is on sale at GearBest for $219. And it has waypoints. You don't get that on the Mavic Mini. So, you know, I think there's some pretty cool stuff that this drone offers. And by the way, I'm not associated with GearBest in any way, but they got a pretty good sale going on. And then let's take a look now at the next one down, which is orbit mode. We're going to look at that in a little while. There were really no changes there. So let's get out of that. And then following mode is where we do have some changes, so I don't want to show you that yet. Let's look in creative video. This is the one that disappoints me the most. So all we still have is panorama shot. So from the very beginning, they have that fly to the sky grayed out, which I believe is either a droney or rocket mode, and then orbit shot. And I'm not sure what that means because you do have an orbit mode already, but both of those are grayed out. If they're not going to give us that functionality, I wish they'd just get rid of that in the app. Then VR mode, which is something that I don't have any VR glasses, so I think that's where it puts the twin pictures on the screen. Some of you guys may use that. It's nothing that I can speak to intelligently. And then the line fly mode, there's no changes there. Hubsan, if you're listening, I would love to see a greater distance than 100 meters in line fly. A lot of instances that I would like to have the drone in line fly and me just worrying about the yaw on the camera, but go further than 100 meters. So let's get out of that, and we'll go into the one that there is a change on. And that is the following mode. So we click on following mode, and we have a new selection there. Follow me, and there's a picture of a satellite, and that's the one that uses GPS. Now when I tried it the other day, it just kind of kept me in frame. I couldn't push the drone back like you can in Active Track, but let's try it again here. So let's give it a shot. And execute immediately. So it says it's got me. So yeah, let's try it. So I guess it will just keep that distance. Yeah, so I have a feeling, so the execute, you'll see the execute immediately is not highlighted here. So, oh yeah, what am I thinking? And it also says the altitude is in red, 3 meters. So no doubt we have to climb a little bit. So let's go up. Yeah, so you got to be at least 5 meters. So good to know. Got to be at least 5 meters high. Let's point the camera down a little bit. Execute immediately. And I don't know what it's looking at there, but let's. So it's staying kind of right next to me. I think I can adjust the, yeah, there. So I just push the camera down. So I am able to push it backwards. Yeah, so it's moving. So it's going to just follow you wherever you go. Now in this case, it looks to me like you're going to have to, so I moved to the other side of the drone and it's keeping its distance, but you're going to have to adjust the yaw if you want to stay in frame. But it's pretty cool. It's doing a great job of it. I noticed it's a little bit, a little bit jerky, but that's pretty neat. Let's push it backwards again. So that works. So like I said, just keep in mind that you've got to, you're going to have to keep yourself in the frame. It's not going to do that. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is, like, I'm fairly low right now. You could back the drone right into a tree or anything, so you want to keep that in mind. So, and then also I see the icon up here that's got, me with the, I don't know, an arrow looking at me. So let's hit stop. Okay, so let's go back into following mode. And this time we're going to select Active Track. And that's the one we've done before, and we know how it works. And it works really good on this drone. So draw a circle around myself. And it says go, so we're going to click go. And we've started active track. Now this works really smooth. So I'm walking directly towards the drone right now and pushing it backwards. Let's drop the gimbal down a little bit. Yeah, so it lost me there. That's kind of, okay, we're gonna start it again here. And it's following me just fine. When it lost me there, that's unusual for the Zino. I found it to be pretty darn good, the active track on this thing. And by the way, I'm pushing it backwards right now, and it's doing it just fine. I'm gonna walk to the side. Let's go to the other side. I noticed that the box does kind of change a little bit. There again, that's something on this drone that you're gonna have to pay attention to. Yeah, so it lost me again, so let's just hit go again. Yeah, I don't know what's, in fact, let's just, well, it should have me. That's kind of unusual. It lost me there a few times, and in the past, I found it to be more accurate than that. But it is interesting. So we're walking back to the camera here, but one of the other caution I'm going to tell you is, just like with the GPS version, this drone does not have any obstacle avoidance or anything. I could literally walk it right into a light pole here if I'm not careful. So you want to make sure you know where your drone's at and where it's going. Okie dokie, so let's stop that. And so that active track, I think it's handy as all get out. There's a lot of places you can use that. And I like that they offer that functionality. That GPS mode, I'm glad they put it on there because it's something else. And I found that when they track your controller like that, they tend to be more accurate. The only thing I was a little disappointed in is that it's not going to keep you in frame. So you're going to have to yaw when you're doing that to stay in frame. But that's not that big a deal. It's something else that they've given us. So yeah, battery level's at 40%. So let's go up, and I want to do one more trick here. Something that I want to show that this drone will do that your Mavic Mini will not. And I'm not knocking the Mavic Mini. I freaking love that little drone. So yeah, okay. So this is what I was looking for. Is I want to go right over the top of the cell phone tower here. So I got the gimbal pointed at a 90 degrees straight down. So we'll see if we can. Yeah, that's pretty close to the center there. That's close enough. So we are going to pick the camera back up. One of the things you remember with your gimbal is sometimes you'll get a crooked horizon when you pick up from 90 degrees, and it is a little bit crooked, but look how fast it's straightened out. So let's go into orbit. We better do this pretty quick because I know we're running out of battery, and we are going to, aircraft's current location is POI, and we're going to back it off now. That's far enough, and we are going to drop the gimbal down so you can see it and execute immediately. And let's speed that puppy up. Try doing this with the Mavic Mini. It's difficult. It does not. It's weird. When you can't fly, you can do a circle around you where you are with the transmitter, but anytime you try and go out someplace and circle a point of interest, it struggles. I've got it to kind of do it before, but it doesn't really do a good job at it. And this little guy, this little Hubsan Zino that you can buy for 219 bucks, and by the way, shoot in 4K 30 frames per second, does it just fine. So yeah, anyway, I just thought you guys might get a kick out of that. So I think that's a full 360 there, so we'll stop. And let's raise the camera up. Battery level at 30%. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fly out, and we're going to stay over the field here in the parking lot, and we're going to let it go. We're going to let it go into automatic return to home. And in the past, that tends to happen around 25%. Now, I'm not saying it always happens at 25%, because I know there's an algorithm in there that measures it. And we are not going to go across the street there, so don't worry about that. Turning, yawing around here. But it seems to me that 25%, I just see it so many times that it goes into RTH at 25%. So there must be something in there that it does that. But that said, if I'm further out, I've had it go into return to home at 35% if I'm way out there, and then when I've been close in, it doesn't go until 20%, or I think 20% is the lowest I've seen it before it'll automatically initiate RTH. And we've got, pretty good flight time here. So we've been recording for about 15 minutes. Yeah, so as soon as it hit 25%, look at that, it hit, and it's doing a countdown. And you see that's new. They're giving us that's new, a new notification on the screen. Yeah, and so it just went into return to home. So just for the fun of it, we are going to stop recording here in a second, as soon as it gets over the top of us. And I'm looking at the, yep, it looks like it's right over the top of us now, so let's drop the gimbal down. And we're going to stop recording. And let's see if it'll do a precision landing for us. That's always fun. There's the target. So yesterday, it did a perfect precision landing for me. So let's see if it'll do it again today. I mean, it hit it right in the middle of the H. And by the way, yesterday I had the orange side up, and today I got the blue side up. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Although it doesn't look like it. I mean, the target's right on it. So the drone, I'm telling you, I think this is going to be pretty good. She's looking, moving around a little bit. It's definitely thinking about it. It's just paused there, but it'll, yeah, so now it's solid green, so it says I've got it. And look at that. Right on the H. Right on the H. Good job, Hubsan. That's really fun. Now, we've talked about this before. Precision landing to me is more of a gimmick than anything else. The Zino is so easy to hand launch and hand catch, but it's fun to try, and it's pretty cool watching it put that target down there. And I just think it rocks when it hits it right in the middle of the screen there. So in any case, I'm going to show you one more trick that this drone does. So I'm going to unplug the phone here and watch what we get. Watch the warning we get. So did you see that USB disconnected? So that's new, and that I think is important if there's been people that have had problems with these connectors, bad cables, or a cable that doesn't go in all the way. And I know there's people that shave down a little bit of the plastic and so forth. Well, now they have that warning there that would tell you that, hey, it's a USB disconnection. So you have a mysterious Wi-Fi connection. At least now you'll know whether it's a cable or not. So that's pretty cool too. So let me get everything shut down here and we will do a quick conclusion. Okay, so we had a good flight with the Hubsan Zino, and I think we showed some of the things that the new firmware and the new app update bring to us. I think the most important one that we saw was that battery warning, and you saw my original #1 battery. It was just out here hovering, and it gave us a warning and gave me plenty of time to bring it in and landing. I fooled around and did a couple of experimented with return to home with it, but you know, I've flown with that battery enough. I had some confidence that it's never shut down on me. Not to say that it couldn't. So it was somewhat of a risk, but anyway, we did the return to home experiment where when the drone is within 20 meters, so between 5 and 20 meters, it will return home at whatever height you've got it at. It will not ascend to your preset return to home height. That's a good thing, and that's something that they've added in this firmware and in the app. So the other thing that they added, if you're one of the people that has, I just had some birds fighting next to me there, kind of threw me off a little bit. The other thing that we've noticed on there is what they call radar detection. It isn't really radar. It's just that screen at the bottom, the map screen, that it looks like radar, and it'll tell you the direction that your drone is pointed. So that was a little confusing when you read that in their notes there. You know, what do they mean by radar? We know this drone doesn't have radar on it. There's some things that that you get with regard to additional notifications. If you happen to lose connection with your OTG cable, it will tell you that you've lost a USB connection, and that's going to be handy. I know people have had mystery Wi-Fi disconnections, they called them. Well, often it was either a bad cable or a cable that wasn't pushed in all the way. Now the app tells you that, so you know that for certain, and you either buy a new cable or push the cable end back in, or whatever it happens to be. Let's see. Oh, so then the other, they've added some little differences in the dialog boxes on the return to home. Now it does a countdown for you. Before it just would go into return to home and it would give you a little notification on there. Now it does a countdown and tells you that it's going into return to home, which is a good thing. I didn't try canceling out of it, but I'm sure you can. Let's see what else. If you've got the Zino Pro and I don't, this is just the regular Zino, you get a lot of other cool stuff with regard to the picture taking. You get panorama, you get spherical, and you get time lapse. Us poor folks that still have the regular Zino, we don't get that. And they also said that, and I'm sure this just applies to the app, or maybe they had some new firmware for the Pro. I don't have a Pro, but they're saying that they increased the image quality. So that said, I know a lot of people are saying that firmware version 1.1.52 is the top and no reason to go above that. If you're happy with the way your drone flies with that and you don't want any other functionality and you're fine with it, that's absolutely fine. Stick with it. But I'm going to tell you that 1.2.05 is perfectly good firmware, and it works well. There are no problems with it, and you're not going to have any issues if you upgrade to it. And what you're going to gain is this functionality that they added. Oh, and speaking of functionality, I forgot to talk about one of them earlier, and that's the GPS Follow Me that they added into the Follow Me mode along with Active Track. I like Active Track better, but it does give you another option. And we tried it, it seemed to work pretty good. The only caveat I'll add to that is that if you want to stay in the center of frame, you're going to have to yaw and do that yourself, because it's not going to keep you in center of frame. But the drone will stay with you. I mean, it worked perfectly. So that's another thing that you gain with the new firmware and the new app. So anyway, that said, we're all adults here. I like the new firmware. If you don't, no reason to upgrade to it, because I agree 1.1.52 works just fine. If you've got an older drone like mine is just not quite a year old. It's probably about a week away from being a year old since I got it. My battery was getting old. Hey, I'm going to take advantage of that functionality where it's going to be able to tell me when I have a bad battery. Hey, so the other thing that I'm going to tell you about the Zino, and this has nothing to do with any firmware upgrades. When I bought the Mavic Mini, in fact, I told my friend Ron Brown, I said, you know what, how much am I going to fly the Zino now that I have the Mini? A lot is the answer. The Zino still brings a lot of the things to the table. One of the things is that price point. GearBest has it for $219 on sale right now, and I'm not affiliated with GearBest at all. I'm just saying that that's a great price. 219 bucks, really? For all of this? Pretty good deal, as opposed to $399 for the Mini. They both have their pluses and minuses, but I'm saying this guy still adds value. And I showed one to you in the video, that circle mode where I circled the cell tower. You couldn't do that with the Mini. It just does not, it won't, when it's far out like that, you can't get it to do a point of interest. And then, you know, waypoint missions and so forth, you can't do any of that. Follow me, you can't do any of that with the Mini. And the Mini has its advantages. I love that aircraft. I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying that the Zino still brings a lot to the table. So anyway, that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. But most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And we will see you on the next one. Little Hubsan Zino, man. This drone just rocks. See ya.